Okay. All right, so here is another video about the science of rewiring your brain using pleasure. There's another longer video that I created about rewiring your neural pathways, and this is like a different look at that topic. And I'll give you some new practices to actually put this into play, just like I did in the other video. So let's talk about rewiring your brain with pleasure. So let me give you an example. When I say 2 plus 2 equals 4, and when you hear that, there are different parts of your brain that are lighting up. The part of your brain that understands 2, 2, and 4, and the other part of your brain that understands a slightly more abstract concept of plus and equals. So 2 plus 2 equals 4. These lights up these different parts of your brain that understand these concepts a little differently. As a child, you learn 2 plus 2 equals 4, and it is something that you actually learn. It's not necessarily immediately intuitive. But over time, these parts of your brain light up faster and faster together until eventually 2 plus 2 equals 4. You don't even have to think about it. You're like, of course 2 plus 2 equals 4. It's just those parts of your brain are firing together. So you can use this, for example, in your business or your career or even your relationship, where you can actually begin to associate pleasure and the parts of your brain that light up when you're experiencing pleasure or perceiving pleasure, with the parts of your brain that light up when you are visioning your business or you are growing your business. You can associate pleasure, the pleasure centers of your brain, with attracting partnership or being in the dating world or connecting with a loved one. So, for example, let's say you have some big workshop coming up, and you associate that because you've done a workshop like this before, you're excited about it, but you associate that workshop with like stress, the experience of doing it alone, feeling overwhelmed, feelings like drudgery or that it's kind of hard. It can be, even if your next workshop is easier than the first workshop, there's still like the residue of the experiences you've had in the past. And this is one reason why relationships can become complicated, because we do literally have all of this baggage, like living in our brains, that neural pathways that are lighting up together when we think of this person, our mother, our partner, this workshop. But you can actually use pleasure to rewire your neural pathways to associate things like your workshop or your mom or certain activities with pleasures, so that at least the whole approach to this relationship or this workshop or this facet of your life feels more pleasurable. Now, we're not necessarily talking about spiritual bypass, because it is important to also be an inquiry within yourself of like, why does this feel so hard? Or what is the responsibility I can take for this experience I'm having? But you can actually ritualize pleasure into every cell and neuron in your body, which all starts with your brain and the chemicals that it's asking your body to produce. You can amplify your field to call in greater opulence and opportunities when I am in my body, when I am deeply centered, and almost in like a childlike libidinous flow of energy, I transmit. And I don't need to be as much like in my head or in my worries or in my angst, and I don't need as many words. So, we're all powerful women creators, and I want you to harness pleasure as a tool so that you can create powerfully on your own terms without burning out. You're probably a leader. People look to you for wisdom and guidance, and what I want for you is to open to the full creative force and embodiment of opulence that is your birthright. So I have some little pleasure homework for you, but I want you to just take a moment to just imagine in a month or two from now, you're in your self-care, you're in your daily rituals, everything you are creating in your life sparkles with creative and sensuous and pleasurable energy. You have energy and you are deeply centered and you have clarity. So this is the invitation, a home play, is to start creating little pleasure sandwiches, pleasure sammies. So this means engaging in pleasure before and after something like doing your bookkeeping. Engaging in pleasure before and after some kind of high pressure situation, like you're going to give a talk or lead a workshop or you have an audition. Weaving in pleasure before or after you are having a hard conversation. Maybe you need to have a difficult conversation with your child or your partner or a parent or a friend, and to actually give yourself a moment of pause and pleasure before and afterwards. Or aspects of your business, any tasks related to your business, to start weaving pleasure, sewing pleasure into your life in the form of these pleasure sandwiches. And the final thing that I'll say is one of my clients was talking about these pleasure sandwiches, and for months now she's been weaving these into her life and loves it and loves it. She just recently sold her first $10,000 package to a client, and she really attributed this transmitting this pleasurable, positive, deeply centered state, being able to call that in. And she actually talks about pleasure pizzas because she doesn't always have time to weave in pleasure before and after, but weaving in pleasure at least before having a client enrollment call or a job interview, before you do your bookkeeping, at least creating one layer of pleasure to support the activities in your life. That is my invitation to you. I hope that you take that on. I hope that you enjoy and amplify your field with pleasure so that you can call in greater opulence and opportunities.